Okay, this shows the excerpt from Schedule 2A of our application, where we talked about we'd be yielding 17,280 pounds of medical cannabis per year. And if you look down below that, I've been saying we're now anticipated producing 17.4 in year 1 and increasing to 21.6 in year 2. Part of that is, the change in technology and design. We've shaved a little bit off our grow time, and we've increased our yield pretty good through some new procedures. Initially, we said we would look at going to our phase 2 in year 5. That may actually be year 4 now, based on what the demand looks like. Let's see. Also, on the supply side, one other thing too is, you're going to get that initial bump right at the beginning when basically you're stocking the store and people are stocking their medicine cabinets. So, and this is a really high number, but we budgeted the first month, the average person will be buying 4 ounces. Now legally you can buy 5, but 4 ounces is a lot. And then it's going to taper down from there. If you compare that to other states, it's in line. It'll go from 4 down to below 2. Okay, last thing is I'm going to talk a little bit about our timeline. I didn't want to pass these out all together with everybody looking through. If you look at this, the blue side, it's really busy. That's slide 3. And this is the original timeline that we put in our application. It has 2 phases. They have a 5-11 initial phase and then a 6-12 full harvest phase. And if you look at this page, just kind of breaks it down. I think gives you what you're wanting to know. And you see the original date that we predicted that licenses would be announced was 10/19/17, which was very aggressive because that gave you guys 30 days to grade, which obviously that wasn't going to happen. So you add 132 days on there, so that kind of steps up to that 10/22/18 date. And then that's when they announces the licenses were awarded. Then it was 134 days from litigation that puts us to 3/5. And then lastly, I've got 26 days, and that's 26 days of rain that's over the average rainfall for the state. It rains here a lot in September and October, but usually it doesn't rain as much as it did in August. And so that kind of puts us where we're at, and I think we have a plan as well as the last gentleman talked about bringing in. We have a 3-room quadrant within our building where we'll start plants out. It'll be secure. It'll have to be inspected and secured, meet all the requirements. And if we can get in there maybe 45 days in advance, we ought to hit this date. So,
do you think you'll have product available in April of 19?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And thank you for the handouts. It's very helpful.
Any questions?
We have just one. I know you said you weren't the expert on the strains, but I think you'll have one question.
Yeah. So you mentioned that your data is 2 years old and you were going to grow 15 strains, but in the handouts you say that, I guess referring back, so how many strains are you going to start out with? Because you reference that in your Schedule 2A.
Right, yeah, it's 15, but there may be a point where we change them just because there's a more pure strain that replaces the condition we were trying to treat.
But you're planning to roll out strains that treat the qualifying conditions as listed in the amendment?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Delta Medical. Just don't touch the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and members of the commission. My name's Don Parker, and I am the president of Delta Medical Cannabis Company. I have with me today our CEO, Doug Falls, to my left, and one of our counsel, Eric Gribble. I also have an audience I'd like to take a moment to recognize, and there are some other members of Delta Medical that are present today. Would you all stand? From your left to right is Ray Osmond, Tracy Johnson, Amy Fulkerson, and Jackie Falls. Thank you all. I want to begin by thanking the Commission for the hard work you've all done the last couple of years after the people of Arkansas adopted Amendment 98. We appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I have some prepared remarks that I'd like to deliver to you all. To start with, we think it'd be helpful to this Commission to understand the timeline from our perspective of the events that have occurred and what we were doing in accordance with our timeline that we had in our application. So prior to announcing the winners of the cultivation licenses on February 27th, we had researched and interviewed several architects, engineers, and contractors looking for the right fit to design a state-of-the-art cultivation facility. We also continued to research the various uses of extracted oils and identified several companies who may be able to assist us with manufacturing various medical marijuana products. When Delta Medical was selected to receive a cultivation license, we immediately completed our work on the surety bond, submitted the surety bond with our license fee to the DFA, and made immediate plans to travel to Colorado to meet with our consultants and complete the selection process of architect, engineers, and general contractor. In fact, when the first lawsuit was filed and the injunction was issued, we were in Colorado doing just that. At that particular time, we did pause in moving forward due to the issuance of the injunction and the allegations that were made in the lawsuits. However, after the initial round of hearings and the intervention in the lawsuits by 4 of the 5 winners, and despite the continuing litigation and real threat that the licensing process would be thrown out and our license lost, Delta Medical decided to proceed with completing the architectural plans and the associated engineering design work, spending time and money on our efforts without knowing the outcome of the litigation. Our facility design was completed, and we were obtaining bids in order to be prepared to commence construction if the Arkansas Supreme Court ruled in our favor. The court's ruling became effective on July 9th, and our license was issued on July 10th. However, as this commission is aware, the Anderson protest letter was filed a couple of weeks later on July 25th, alleging that Delta Medical's location was within 1,000 feet of ASU Newport, and that ASU Newport should be considered a school under the commission's rules. As such, the Anderson protest letter alleged that Delta Medical was in violation of not only the Arkansas Constitution, but also the Federal Controlled Substances Act regarding sentencing enhancement for the manufacturing and selling of marijuana within 1,000 feet of a college or university. After discussing this letter with legal counsel and with Mr. John Connor Jr., who is our owner of our permitted location, we decided that in order to avoid another possible protracted legal fight that may well delay our construction and operation further, we believed it to be the prudent course to move our location down the road 1.5 miles to property near the Arkansas Department of Corrections, the Grimes Unit, also on land owned by Mr. Connor. There are no other businesses or residences near the prison, and we viewed that a move to that location would be a very easy fix to avoid possible further delays caused by the protracted legal action and legal maneuvering. Less than a week after receiving the Anderson protest letter, we contacted the ABC director 4 months ago on August the 1st to discuss the process to request a change of location. We understood that there was an application process being developed, and we could request a location change as soon as the application process was approved by this commission. Importantly, the ABC director instructed us not to make a request to change locations until the process in the application was developed, finalized, and approved by this commission which is consistent with and required by the commission rules. Thus, we waited. In an effort to move forward as expeditiously as possible, our attorneys were in regular contact with ABC Director to inquire about the status of the change in location procedure so that we could proceed with our request. The application process was finalized and approved by this commission on November 13th. However, the application form was not published and was not provided to us until Wednesday, November the 21st, the day before Thanksgiving. We completed the application and filed it on Monday, November the 26th, 5 days after receiving the application, which included a holiday and a weekend. Our application to change locations is on your agenda today, and we respectfully request this commission take action and grant our request to move our location down the road 1.5 miles. This request is not a material change to our application and does not in any way change, modify, or alter Delta Medical's plan for operating a medical marijuana cultivation facility in compliance with all applicable laws and regulations. Additionally, we understand that there have been rumors floating around that there are other reasons for our request to move, such as a cheaper price for land. I can unequivocally state that that is not the case. As shown in the option to purchase filed with our application to change location, the cost of the land is identical to the price in the option to purchase that was filed with our original application. However, by moving locations, we are required to buy a minimum of 5 acres of land, whereas in the original option to purchase, we were required to buy a minimum of 2 acres of land. The option price for 5 acres is $217,800 versus $87,120 for 2 acres, or a difference of $130,680. We are willing to pay this additional sum and close immediately in order to avoid possible further delays and get our business up and running in order to supply medical marijuana to Arkansans who need it and are qualified. Now for our responses to your specific questions. What is the current status of construction and when will construction be completed?